What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner, written by William Goldman, adapted from his book of the same name. Okay, let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. So The Princess Bride is a movie that I have no memory of watching when I was a child. Like, I have no connection to this movie whatsoever, but I've always seen bits and pieces and clips of it, and it's always made me slightly interested in wanting to watch it. So after sitting down and finally having a chance to watch this movie, I can honestly say that I enjoy it. I like The Princess Bride. I thought this was a very funny and very entertaining fantasy movie. And I like the whole idea of this movie pretty much being told from a meta point of view. This movie is told from the framing device of a sick little boy who is being read a fantasy story by his grandfather. Of course, the little boy is played by Fred Savage, and his grandfather is played by Peter Flack. And the grandfather tells him the story of The Princess Bride, which is the story of this man named Wesley who teams up with Fezzik and Indigo Montoya to rescue the love of his life, known as Buttercup, played by Robin Wright, from the evil Prince Humperdinck, played by Chris Sarandon. So yeah, like, the overall basic story of The Princess Bride itself is basic. It's like any other fairy tale story, but to me, what makes this movie stand out is the fact that it kind of pokes fun at itself, and it kind of has like a meta sense of humor to itself while in the actual story itself. And I found that to be one of the most fun parts of the movie. Like, there's this whole scene where Wesley, who was disguised as a pirate, is having a sword fight with Indigo Montoya, and it's like a gentleman's duel because they're constantly bantering back and forth in a very gentleman-like way, discussing what could happen, what might happen, and things like that. And I thought that scene was well done and very, very funny. Like, this movie's got that kind of meta humor to it, and it just has a really fun, lighthearted atmosphere just all throughout. You do got some moments of a little bit of a dark somberness, particularly with the Indigo Montoya character, whose whole thing is based on wanting to get revenge for his father, who was murdered right before him against a six-fingered man, which he eventually does at the end of the movie. And and you have Wesley, who faked his death and disguised himself as a pirate as a way to find himself back to Buttercup. So, like, the movie does have some, and the movie does have some dark elements here and there, but it never loses that fantasy-like element and fantasy-like charm that it has. A lot of that has to do with the writing by William Goldman. I thought he did a really good job writing this movie. The cast in this movie is fantastic. Cary Elwes plays Wesley, and I like Cary Elwes as an actor. And watching this movie, you can see why Mel Brooks chose him for Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, Cary Elwes has really underappreciated comedic timing, and he just has a natural, likable charisma and charm, and he brings that to this movie. And the scenes that he has with Robin Wright, even though I think the love story just is very underdeveloped and they just love each other for the sake of loving each other, it at least works within the context of this movie. And Robin Wright is a decent enough actress that they're able to pull it off. So I got no complaints with that. The supporting cast in this movie is what really got me. You have, like I mentioned, you have Mandy Patinkin and Indigo Montoya. He's got to be one of my favorite characters in this entire movie. I thought him and Andre the Giant, who plays Fezzik, have very good chemistry with one another, very good comedic bantering back and forth, especially when you add Wallace Shawn, who plays Venezi, to the mix. They're like this little trio for a good portion of the movie until Venezi is killed off by Wesley. I thought the three of them had really good comedic chemistry with one another, and Venezi is kind of like the leader who kind of bullies the two into doing what he wants. I thought that part of the movie with those three was actually really funny. I'm a fan of Chris Sarandon. I like him as Prince Humperdinck and the whole rivalry that forms between him and Wesley. I thought that was well done. This movie also has cameos from actors like Billy Crystal and Carol Kane, who played Miracle Max and Valerie, who who bring Wesley Beam back from mostly dead and not all dead. I thought that the entire Billy Crystal scene in this movie was hilarious, and you could have easily put. I wouldn't mind having more in it. I like that. I like that stuff. I mean, if I were to have criticism with this movie, Fesnik and Indigo, pretty much we see them in the first act, and then for a good chunk of the second act, they kind of disappear. Like they don't really come back like the last act of the movie. Like, where are they for the entire third act? Well, for the entire second act, like, what are they doing? Like, you could have done. We could have seen scenes here and there of Indigo going back into his slump as an alcoholic, since he failed to get his initial revenge, and slowly start to see, then transition to the third act where Fezzik slowly starts to get his confidence back up, and then they go on the march to save Wesley and and Indigo can get his revenge, and Wesley can get the princess. Like, we could have seen some of that, but it is what it is. From an overall production value, this is a beautiful looking movie. I love the set design. I love the costumes and the wardrobe. This movie to me feels like The Wizard of Oz, only with a late 1980s budget, and it looks fantastic. It works. Rob Reiner's got a nice visual eye for this movie. Brings this fantasy world to life, makes it feel lived in, and just makes it feel extravagant and just otherworldly, but still maintaining that charm. So yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts on The Princess Bride. At the end of the day, I enjoyed this movie. I liked it a lot. Gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.